Welcome to Fragmental.
An amusing take on random topics. So, tonight we have a special guest with us.
So, yeah, we've hyped this up on Twitter a little bit. We got a guy who I've known for a long time, a former coach at
Almost from the time he was born.
Yeah. So that's a joke, right? I've known this little bitch his entire life because he's my little brother, as a matter of fact. So we got Coach Casey with us, former coach at The Ohio State University, my brother, and champion of many things. So, Coach Casey, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you having me up tonight and look forward to where we end up going with this thing.
It takes a big man to sit and take all the lumps you're about to get from us, and you're going to do your best.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, we ultimately tonight we wanted to talk. Look, let's be real. We're getting a late November, and that means it's rivalry time. So one of the reasons we wanted to have Coach Casey here is talk a little bit about the rivalry, right? So when I think the biggest rivalries out there, one of the biggest is without a doubt The Ohio State University and Team Up North. Some call it Michigan.
Some of us that don't live here or didn't grow up here. Actually, I think when I got here, what's the lettering? 22N or
TTUN.
TTUN, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? It's like it's the Team Up North. I'm like, what Team Up North? I'm like, Michigan, you fucking retard. And I'm like, oh, we don't say Michigan around here. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's sacred ground. You don't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
especially in the office.
So
be
what's it like
careful.
in the office?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you can see at Ohio State's campus, they block out all the M's. They put the red X's out. So it's known across the university and the campus that, hey, when it's that time of the year, when
does all that start? Does it? I mean, Penn
it's the
State's-
week leading up. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, it's the whole week leading up, and something that, and in the Woody Hayes facility that we'd always do, and Urban's big thing, we would play. It's Time for War.
LL Cool J.
LL Cool J, and it would play on repeat 24 hours a day, and it would drive you fucking absolutely insane. You're like, you're sitting there sleeping at night, and you're just, it's time for war. You're like, Jesus. I mean,
isn't that against like the Geneva Convention or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, so you get a full week of that. So I mean,
Do you still get flashbacks when you if I were to play it right now? Are you going to be like, meh? You know?
Yeah.
He wakes up in the middle of the night with cold sweats.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, it brings me back.
PTSD.
Yeah. It's just there's a little bit of extra effort and going into that week, and you just know that it's a big one. You don't lose this game.
So yeah, I mean, not just to talk about just the game. We want to talk about. We're obviously going to get into a lot tonight, but just rivalries in general, right? I mean, what are some of the big ones? Yankees, Red Sox.
Yankees, Red Sox.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for years they fucking pummeled the Red Sox. I mean, and then they whatever. Oh, then
the biggest goddamn upset of all time, where the Yankees leading 3-0, and of all teams to come back and win 4 in a row, it's got to be the fucking Red Sox.
Exactly. I agree. I'm a Yankees fan. I grew up in New York, so I'm a Yankees fan, and then I spent 17 years in Chicago, and now I'm kind of a Cubs fan. So I like the older teams, apparently. You know what I'm saying? Yankees, Red Sox. That's a big one.
It's got.
And now in Chicago, then you've got, speaking of football, you've got Bears, Packers. I mean, that goes back to the start of.
Those are like the original.
Those are the original teams.
The original, yeah.
Hey, what's the original hockey one? I mean, because there's got to be a hockey one.
Because they had, what was it, the Frozen 8 or whatever? You know, where it started with 8 teams.
Yeah, Chicago was one of the 8 teams. Well, I don't know.
Chicago, wasn't Toronto one?
Toronto one, Maple Leafs.
I don't know enough.
Edmonton, maybe.
I mean, I love watching hockey, but
I don't know shit
I'm not a
about
historian by any goddamn
Absolutely.
stretch.
There's got to be one in hockey.
No, I know I get excited. Being a Miami University grad, hockey's a big deal there. So we did go to the Frozen Four my freshman year over there, and I tell you, it's electrifying across campus. So I became a hockey fan at that time. But yeah,
it's kind of weird. Like, why Oxford, Ohio? I mean, that's
right.
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
But you're right though. They're year in and year out.
They're up there with the best of the best. So I mean, that is
Is that D1?
Yeah,
D1.
Absolutely, Division One.
So like in football, they're max, so it's not not the Power 5 or whatever.
Right.
But hockey's different. Like I think there's only a handful of divisions anyway.
But college sports in general, don't you kind of different sports kind of float between the divisions though, right?
Yeah.
You could have a D1 football team, but is that or the whole thing?
Typically,
D1?
you'll see it in you could be a D1 college basketball team. You'll see a lot. But then it'll be like Dayton. Their major college basketball, I mean, it's a smaller conference,
Right.
but they play in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
You're not going to see Dayton playing Ohio State ever.
Right.
They did in like the 40s, but I mean, now that
right.
it's ascended to a level where there's going to be 3 guys on Dayton's team that could even be on the Ohio State roster, let alone actually play.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, you couldn't do it that way. But
Well, you guys, getting back to rivalries here, it was weird that I'm the one bringing us back because I'm usually the one that's taking us way the fuck off course. But what about the Texas and Oklahoma? That's a big one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something out west, but it's like that's so fucking new
that's
out
kind
there.
of it. I mean, you got USC Notre Dame in football.
Yeah, but I don't get that one. I mean,
Just because they play every year. Because they used to be independents.
oh,
So
okay.
before
well,
USC
Notre Dame's still independent because they like the green. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. I
Their
mean,
football's
they
independent.
still make a lot of money,
Yeah.
but I mean, at this point, they need to just join a conference. Nobody makes more money than the Big Ten. Like, the Big Ten network is literally the highest pay. I mean, you saw some. I mean, you lived some of it.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're killing it. Yeah, absolutely.
I when I was in Chicago driving to O'Hare, I'm like, what's this building? What's this? Because I didn't know what the logo. I didn't get the logo, and and I'm looking. I'm like, is that the Big Ten? I'm like, yeah, that's like their corporate offices or whatever.
They're
Like
in Chicago,
right next to. It's perfect though, because you could fly in, land, have a meeting, get. I mean, you're fucking 30 feet from the airport, but you're right there.
Yeah,
so
still, that's pretty sweet.
yeah, that is pretty sweet.
Yeah, Duke, North Carolina, that's a huge one.
Duke, North Carolina is a big one. That's a Duke, North Carolina is a big one. I'm trying to think what else. Who else is out there? What about the Bills and the Patriots? Isn't that kind of a big one too? No, maybe
I think
not.
Bills Mafia likes to believe it is.
Exactly.
I mean, that's like it's a really one-sided rivalry.
Hey, the Bills aren't bad this year. They're okay.
They're fair to middling.
Yeah,
I mean-
try and make some noise. There,
yeah,
they're
absolutely.
trying.
They're playing a solid brand of football.
Yeah, I'll give them that. Well, I got it. Josh Allen's my fantasy QB, so I have to.
You
and I'm from
throw him
Syracuse,
a
so I have
plug
to kind
here.
of rep
Gotta give
for
the
them.
guy a
little-
chance.
I got to give the guy a chance, right?
You got upstate New York. Everybody was a Bills fan. I get that.
Or Giants fan, which I didn't get.
Which is weird.
It's funny. Do you see the thing? It goes something about New York's football team, and the Bills are like, literally, we're the only team in New York,
Right,
Because both
the
of them are in New
Giants and
Jersey.
Jets both play in New Jersey.
They're like, are you? How are you saying you're New York's team? You're like, because we're physically in New York. I mean, we play in New York. We're from it. Yeah, that's fucking
Yeah,
great.
but you're not in New York.
No,
team.
absolutely.
But yeah, so I mean, we're talking some of these huge Lakers, Celtics.
Yeah, Lakers South.
That's another huge one, right? So to be in these rivalries, I mean, there's legends, right? I mean, with the Lakers, Celtics, you had Magic and Larry Bird.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's really what makes a rivalry, I think, is not just the teams. It's just some of the guys who've been with Duke and North Carolina, right? Grant Hill and, North Carolina, Vince Carter. I mean, just all these incredible Michael Jordan. You just have these personalities that make it so good, too.
Well, in the rivalry games, you got those big moments. I mean, these big moments that happen in these rivalry games, and that's what makes them so special and to be a part of. And, I mean, you look at history and you remember those big games and who did those big things in those big games. The team up north, Desmond Howard, all those guys. I mean, they've had a lot of great things happen, and it makes the rivalry so special.
I mean, Charles
it's
Woodson.
so hard. Yeah, Charles Woodson.
I mean, he's still one of my favorite football players of all time.
Yeah,
I
he's
love
incredible.
the way he played the game.
Absolutely.
You brought this up. It was on football last Sunday.
Yeah.
When Charles Woodson asked Urban, "Hey, do you know the words to the Michigan Fight song?"
Yeah.
And then what was the response?
7-0.
Take that, bitch.
But see, that's what a
Yes,
rivalry is all about.
See, rivalries are great when you're done with coaching, you're on national TV with a guy that played in the rivalry, that's now played in the NFL, now on national TV, and you're still fucking hosing them. Like, yeah, sorry about that.
It doesn't get any better.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. And I just I'm like 7-0. I'm like they're more. And then I realized he beat them 7 times. It took me a minute to he beat them 7 times. So that's what.
If I remember correctly, he's the only Ohio State coach to ever never lose to them. I mean, before Ryan Day.
Okay.
Ryan Day will get his streak going.
Yeah,
But-
exactly. I think it starts in about 2 weeks. If
But
I'm not mistaken.
that says something. We're talking about a rivalry that goes. I mean, it really
Yeah, but come on,
existed for 70 years.
it's
but
Harbaugh. Was Harbaugh?
Hey, welcome to our team, Dave.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah.
Well, I'm living here, and I got a former OSU coach in the room. I don't want to become a Michigan fan all of a sudden.
Yeah, still one of my favorite stories, and we'll get to this here, Casey. You tell me yours too, but one of my favorite stories about the rivalry is Woody Hayes was beating the shit out of Michigan, team up north, goes for 2. And at the end of the game, they're like, Coach, why'd you go for 2? And he said, because I couldn't go for 3. Like that right there, that is such a
That's the
badass.
epitome of the, of the rivalry.
Like that's one of the best statements for the rivalry. I mean, from your perspective, Case, I mean, what's one of your favorites? And whether it's one you lived or just one you've heard growing up or the legend you heard from Urban talking about. I mean, you guys probably had Coach Tressel come in, all these other coaches, other players, Chris Spielman, all these guys. What's one of your favorite stories?
I think it's the game. It's the game, and to be a part of that is something so special. And the atmosphere leading up to that game it's a different vibe. I mean, it's a different approach, and it's a different level of seriousness. And that. It's a game that you got to win, and when you don't win, I mean, it reflects your whole season. That game reflects your whole season. It doesn't matter if you're going in that game 11-0 or 10-0. I mean, you go into that game, and that when you lose that game or you win that game, it just made your whole season or break your whole season. So, I just think overall, being a part of that and being able to feel that atmosphere and that vibe with the whole team and the staff is something you can't get anywhere. I mean, you can't be a part of anywhere. So,
yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, you've lived it now, Dave. Now that you've been here, 5 years?
Yeah, going on 5 years. But it's funny because I've had friends here for like almost 20, right? I mean, because our corporate offices are here. And I remember my buddy was like, "Hey, come down for the Michigan Ohio State game, for the weekend or whatever." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." So I come down. He was over in, I think he was living in Westerville. And we get there, and his house is full of people, and the game's on. He's got like 8 TVs going with the game going. Everybody's watching.
Yeah, even if you're taking a piss, you have to have a TV
exactly. And these guys are going ape shit, right? And I think they were winning. I don't remember what year this was. And this is what got me about this, especially about Ohio State football in general, and then obviously the rivalry at secondary. But all these guys are screaming at the fucking TV. They're like, "Kill the motherfucker!" And I'm like, "Jesus, settle down." What's funny is as a side note, there's a dude from Syracuse. He grew up in Syracuse. I think he went to Nottingham and played on Michigan. I can't think of his name. He was a running back. I can't think of his name now. Anyway,
Mike Hart.
Mike Hart was playing, right?
There you go.
And they're like, "Kill the motherfucker!" I'm like, "Hey, I grew up there, man. Settle down." So I don't know half these people. I'm like, "So did you go to OSU?" And they're like, "No." Did you go to OSU? And they're like, "No." Nobody I was watching the game with actually went to Ohio State, and I'm like, okay, now I mean, it's just that big.
I mean, Ohio State has, right, you got 50,000 students. It's one of the largest colleges in the country. So naturally, you already have one of the largest alumni bases. Mm-hmm. But just in Ohio, I would say probably less than 50% of the Buckeye fans ever attended a class at Ohio State.
Oh,
It's just, like most of my buddies who have Ohio State tattoos never went to Ohio State.
What's the other tattoo? Your gang? What was that gang's name?
Flipping and dipping.
Flipping and dipping.
Yeah, fuck you, man. This isn't about me.
Here's another good thing. Here's a story I heard at our at where we work at. There was where the kind of the employees walk in case you probably I don't know if you probably never heard this, but because I don't think I've ever told Mike this. Where you walk into the building, there are offices along there. And they had hired somebody that was, and they threw him in one of those offices, like as a temp office. His office wasn't ready yet, and he went to Michigan, and he's hanging in the.
Sounds like a bitch. Anyways, go ahead.
Anyway, I don't know who he was or whatever, but I was hearing this like secondhand, and he hung a Michigan flag in his office. Now this guy could be a programmer, or he could be like a senior vice president of like something, something big, and people are walking by, banging on the window, going, "You suck. Michigan sucks. You're going down." They have no clue who this fucking guy is. And they're throwing him under the bus.
Right,
he
could be an officer for all you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he could be your boss. You know what I mean? But
be a hitman.
Absolutely. But I was laughing because I'm like, they don't even know the dude is, and they're banging on the window going, "You guys suck. We're gonna kick your ass." I'm like, holy shit, man, that's some serious stuff.
No, I've been on customer visits where it comes up where they're like, "Hey, such and such went to Michigan." I'm like, "Yeah, I thought I smelled something." I mean, it follows you. I mean, we talk about this all the time. You can be anywhere in the country, maybe even the world, as long as there's English-speaking people there, I guess. If you yell OH, somebody's responding IO.
It'd be weird if you're in some non-speaking company and somebody responded IO.
I heard that's how they caught Saddam.
Exactly. The SEALs went up and just yelled out OH, and he went IO, and they like
Fuck.
and they bombed him.
That,
Wait, they hung Saddam, right? Yeah, they hung him.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But, I mean, they found him first and then hung him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's how they found him. They did that to Osama bin Laden. Then they blew him up. No, they didn't blow him up either. They shot him.
They shot. Well, he tried to hide behind women and shit.
Yeah, because they were yelling. They were Michigan fans.
Yeah, clearly. So, no, man. I mean, any other rivalry things we should talk about before we get into the Ohio State stuff? I mean, there's rivalries in anything. It's one of the things that makes sports great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is the ability, like, the people who are fighting and going absolutely nuts, that's one thing. It's another to be able to just sit and bust chops. And, I mean, when Casey was coaching, you know, he was gracious enough. He got us tickets, and we went to the game in Ann Arbor. And I can tell you the atmosphere was incredible. The Big House is a great place.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been there for a game.
Yeah, I mean,
it's insane.
Right. Like, I didn't go in as one of those assholes, like, fuck these guys. Man, it was like, wow, this is the fucking Big House.
Yeah.
And
at the end of the day, there's a rivalry, right? You got the rivalry teams, but you do appreciate the history.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think you're a true fan to appreciate the rivalry if you can't appreciate, like, that's a fucking cool stadium and they've got a program that's been around for whatever. We're gonna kick their fucking ass, but I appreciate what what they've done.
That's what makes this so great.
Yeah, and people should do the same thing coming into the shoe too. It's you have to appreciate that time and all of that stuff, because otherwise it doesn't make the rivalry.
All those games that have been played in that stadium, and especially for these young athletes to be a part of that and to keep that tradition going and to keep these rivalry games going. I mean, I will say all the players are very grateful to get those opportunities to play in the shoe, to play in the Big House, because not everyone gets that opportunity.
Right.
And
yeah, absolutely.
they realize how special that is, and you got to take advantage of an opportunity, man. You got an opportunity right in front of you, and you got to capitalize and take advantage.
Yeah, I mean, that was. I'll never forget when we went there. The Michigan fans were awesome. Like, there was busting chops,
yeah,
but
absolutely.
again, it wasn't. Nobody's throwing punches.
If you don't bust chops in a rivalry, then it's not a rivalry.
That's what it's all about. You got to be able to. I always say that. Like, that's what makes this fun. There's busting chops and there's being an ass.
Yeah,
and just busting chops, having a good time, and appreciating it for what it is. And I know the game we went up in Ann Arbor, I mean, Zeke Elliott he's still running on that Michigan defense.
Yeah.
I mean, they had JT Barrett was awesome, but they had no answer for Zeke Elliott. Like, I think he almost put himself back in the Heisman conversation with that game. Now,
he ran through that tunnel like Forrest Gump, man. He wasn't stopping. No, but just going to that the little bit of shit talking that you get. I mean, my first experience in Ann Arbor in 2015, walking out of the tunnel in pregame, and you got the fans that are there early, ready to go. Man, they're all fired up, and I'm walking out of the tunnel like, "Hey, coach, nice khakis. Where'd you get those from? Walmart?" And I'm like, "Oh, all right, here we go."
Fucking Jim Harbaugh's there, and they're talking about your khakis.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, man. Like, if we're gonna bring the khakis involved, that's fine. If that's where we're going with this, but
that's funny.
But I mean,
of course, he's like 19 drinks in at that point. Yeah. It's 9:30 in the morning.
What'd you say? You want original bastard? That's the best you could come up with.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. I was like, man,
from Walmart. These are Dickies.
Yeah, just so you know.
And then, I got these at Eddie Bauer.
They are sore losers up there. When we took care of that in 2015, when we went up there and just beat the shit out of them, and we're leaving on our buses. I remember we're about 4 buses deep, and I'm looking out my window, and you just see the fans kind of hackling. You know, they were upset, and I don't know, all the 4 buses, my window, I got a guy that throws a bottle, and it hit my window.
Whoa.
And I'm sitting there, and it's a glass bottle, and I flinched. I look down, and I'm thinking it's going to bust the window, but they must be bulletproof, I'm assuming. But
well, when you're Ohio State, you've got a few extra bucks.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
there's a few extra dollars there for.
They took
hey,
care
do you guys
of
want the normal glass or the whatever? And you got some guy from Ohio State with like a wad of cash going, we'll get the upgraded glass.
I think we'll upgrade.
Yeah.
Right.
Push that pile
Let's
of
just
money.
go ahead and get one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But man, and it was just like you felt that. It's like, you know what, this is part of it. And like, you know, you get excited and people get pissed, and there's sore losers when there's good. But hey, man,
What was the score of that game?
man, it was like 43-19.
Something like that.
We beat the shit out of them. Yeah.
I mean, it was one of those.
And it was a
wasn't-
game I did not, going into it, it's like, it's going to be a dogfight, man. I mean, Michigan's defense, Team Up North, I mean, their defense was playing lights out. And so I was really interested in seeing how our offense would go out there and do what they did. And they answered, man. They played their asses off. Defense responded, special teams. I mean, three rounds of football there. We just played as best as we could and had a good day.
In reality, that was a team that, won the championship 2014. That was the team that was supposed to win the championship.
Right. I mean, you're returning.
So stacked.
You're returning almost every starter from that 14 season, and I mean the expectations were high. When you got the expectations high like that, you got every team shooting every bullet at you. I mean, you're a target, so you got to be ready to go every single game. But yeah, and especially in that big game, I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, it's one game at a time, and you treat every opponent, but you go into that rivalry game, and it's like, you know what, this is the game, man, and
That's awesome.
legends are made. So someone, every game, those rivalry games, someone shows up, and you don't know who it's going to be. You don't know who's going to make that great play, but someone's going to be a legend in that game, and they're going to be talked about, 40 years later when they're shooting shit, talking, drinking beers. Like, hey, man, you remember that?
But 2 years ago, JT Barrett goes down with an injury. They pull in a quarterback nobody's heard of, Dwayne Haskins. This was 2 years ago, so he was a redshirt freshman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he led him to a game championship or a game-winning drive. Freshman out of nowhere. I mean, that's, like you said, that's the stuff legends are made of.
Well, 2014, JT Barrett.
Yeah.
He's there, second string quarterback, Braxton Miller goes down, and JT's had a great season. Well, he goes down and breaks his ankle in the Team Up North game in the shoe. And here comes this big son of a bitch, Cardell Jones, onto the field, and no one knows what he's going to do. And he shows up, throws a couple big balls to Devin Smith, and next thing you know, we seal that game. But, he finished us out. And, and it's just stuff like that. Guys show up, you know. Cardell Jones showed up at the end of that season when you needed him. And
third string quarterback wins a national championship.
yeah, how about that? And then you got
You couldn't even
unbelievable
write that in a
talent.
Disney movie.
I mean, you got a great supporting cast. You got
Yeah.
unbelievable talent all around you. And
Listen to me. Meh. Like, I'm about to get my ass kicked by two guys from Ohio, so this podcast is going to end shortly.
He's no Air Bud.
Yeah, exactly. He's no, what's that, Troy Nunes.
Troy Nunes. Oh,
Yeah, sorry.
He was
it's a
so when I
Syracuse
coached at Syracuse, he was our quarterback to start the season. Like, good athlete, he ran the option, solid arm. He just couldn't. Unfortunately for him, he just really couldn't put it together.
Yeah.
And
As
they
a Syracuse fan, I really have no fight in this conversation at all.
I mean, that was the last up until last year. That was the last time Syracuse won 10 games. They switched to RJ. I can't remember his last name at the moment, but RJ Anderson, and that's what it was. And James Mongro's running back, Dwight Freeney on defense, and put it together. Beat Michael Vick. Were able to win 10 games. I mean, those were awesome days. Not a lot to cheer for Syracuse
Exactly.
since that day.
That was
but
2004, I think. Something. No,
one.
Okay, never mind.
I'm even.
All right, well,
older.
let's get back to like an actual team.
So real college
Yeah.
teams. So I know one thing that we're curious about, man. Like what is going through? Like, how does Coach Meyer address the team before you run through that tunnel on that day? Like, and how? So how does that look? And how does that look compared to,
Rutgers.
I thought you were going to give your.
I was gonna say like East Bejesus Community College, but that's not.
Rutgers is on par.
I was joking with Mike earlier. I'm like, because everybody kind of pads those early season games with like Colgate. You know what I mean? So, so when you go into the Big Ten, you've already got like 6-0. You're like, you beat like 4 high school teams and a community college. So anyway, but how does I guess to Mike's point, it's like you've got this game. I'm sure Urban has a different conversation. I guess I would think the speech is different than I use Rutgers, but maybe let's just say a less talented team or a smaller school team or something like that. One that you shouldn't lose to.
Right.
I guess.
Yeah. You're winning by 40 points.
Yeah.
How does that differ? And then again, what's it like?
Or
before
doesn't
you guys go out? Yeah, maybe it doesn't.
So I'd say the difference is really the week leading up to the game. When you're talking about game day, that's business. I mean, that's game day is the same day. It doesn't matter what team you're playing. It's another day at the office, man. And you got the same approach, the same mindset that you're gonna go out and execute, and you're gonna, you gotta, you do your job and execute and perform. And but when in the week leading up, the difference, the exception with the team up north. There's a lot of neat things that occur that week. We do. So one thing that we always did is we'd always play the LL Cool J Time for War. We're playing that 24 hours around the clock. It's driving everybody in the office nuts. But it's one of those things. It's just a reminder. It's that trigger that it's that week. It's the game. It's that week. And you hear that just pounding in the office, and you just when you get tired or you have that moment where you're just. It just gives you that reminder. Hey, keep going, man.
Right.
This
Everybody
is the
who's played
game.
football has that. You have that moment where you're feeling sorry for yourself during the week, Tuesday practice, whatever.
Right. You're game planning, and you're like, hey, man, you got to give it every ounce of energy you got. And also that same week, we always would bring the marching band in, and we would do the Script Ohio with them at the Woody Hayes facility, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
The band would come in, and they would give the instruments to the players, coaching staff, and we would actually get in line and do the Script Ohio with them, and leading up to that game. So there's unique things like that takes place going into the rivalry game, which I think separates it from any other game. But when you're talking about game day, it's business. It's another day.
Doesn't change. I mean,
nothing changed.
Game day is the same as at Michigan that it is at a Rutgers, that it is at a Penn State, or is it or whatever.
That goes to what I remember you always telling me was with Coach Meyer, it was about building that culture. So it's not, he's just like you said, it's time to go to work. Right. So if you treat everything the same, we go through the same routine, the same mentality, we put in the same amount of work, we're going to get the same result is the thought, right?
Absolutely. The foundation's already been built. You're the hard work's done. In the off season, everything leading up. When you get to the season, I mean, it's just about game plan and executing. But I mean, as far as preparation goes, that's in the off season. That's working hard with the string coaches and getting ready, getting yourselves ready. But I mean, game year, when you're in game week and stuff like that, I mean, it's just another day at the office, doing your business, getting ready to execute and perform. And, guys do or guys don't. Guys show up on game day and, they get it done or they don't. I mean, you'll stick out like a sore thumb if you don't.
So did they ever do anything different? So I know for us, when we played our rival, I mean, this is high school, we would put somebody on the scout team and have him wear the jersey of like one of the top players. Would you guys do stuff like that?
Yes, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. So yeah, that whole week at practice, so our equipment staff, they would spend the time and they would actually use electric tape, and they would all the scout team players, they would stripe the helmets like the team up north, and then they would also wear blue and yellow jerseys like the team up north. So. Actually, I got to be a part of that. So even some of the coaching staff would go into the equipment room and be a part of that. So I actually did my own helmet where I striped it like the team up north helmet, and we did all the scout team players. And so yeah, I mean that's a great thing. Those guys are seeing it every day of the week leading up that game, and I thought that was something that's kind of unique, and part of the tradition and part of that rivalry.
Well, that's
game.
A mental thing, right?
Right.
Like you're building this in here. That's cool. I mean, also, I'm curious, where did you find that much dog shit that you could rub it on a helmet to make it look like that?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah.
That's funny. I'm going to need 700 rolls of electrical tape.
Yeah. Talk about an order. Yeah.
And 3 tons of shit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's an offense, defensive scout team, special team scout team. So everybody had to have it. They had to have the helmet. They had to have the jersey. So yeah.
So I mean,
we would match the numbers as well to the starters for the team up north and everything like that.
Wow, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, who were their big time players then?
Right. I couldn't even remember.
Don't look at me. I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't even here then.
Cricket.
I mean, those were. I am glad to see them at least coming back, because I think it's better for the rivalry.
Absolutely.
When.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the one thing. Like, for a while, they weren't a game. Although I'll give them credit. Like, it seems like that's when they would play their best game. I mean, the year JT got hurt, that was a close game.
I was 14 was that was a battle.
So
that was a dogfight.
I mean, that's what that was their Rose Bowl.
Yeah, it's funny it's, when you have these rivalries, you need both teams to be up, right? Because you go into a game and you're 10-0 and they're 1-6 or 1-9. Oh, my math isn't working, but
clearly you're on your game, but we get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I went to a public school. All right, just leave it alone.
Yeah. Well, you've had those years where OSU's number 2 or we're number 1, and team up north's right behind us at number 2 or number 3. I mean, and that just even makes the game that much better.
Yeah, it amps it, right? Yeah, it's that much bigger.
You remember when was it 06? When it was number 1 against number 2, Troy Smith.
Yeah,
the game was 42-39. I mean, that's
a game.
You're not going to find too many better college football games than that. I mean, it's in that, people don't remember it as much because it wasn't a championship game.
Right.
But if you that was a dogfight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also, it's stuff like that won Troy Smith a Heisman. Was being able to step in that game and make passes,
big plays, man. Yeah.
I mean, that's what.
Oh, that solidifies. Yeah, I mean, a Heisman Trophy winner. You go into a big game like that, and you make some big time plays, and that kind of seals the deal for you. Yeah.
Desmond Howard, you said it. He, I remember because I was young, but he absolutely balled out in that game. And I think he had a punt return for a touchdown. He had an amazing catch for a touchdown.
Right, and that's one of the more historic moments in college football. Yeah.
I mean, you have to.
That wasn't the pose, was it? The pose in that game?
Yeah, that was the Heisman pros.
Yeah. Pose.
Yep.
So that's the thing. Those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
you're not
absolutely.
even, and that's the thing. At that time, what the fuck did you know about that?
Yeah,
rivalry?
exactly.
You know what I mean? So,
hey, fuck you, dude.
What do you mean? I know from upstate New York.
Even the millennials know that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, when was it? 2006.
Well, the Desmond Howard was in the early '90s.
Yeah. Okay, well then, I was in upstate.
Yeah,
New
that
York.
was.
Yeah, Syracuse actually had a decent team back then.
You're right. Back then, Syracuse was top 15, top 20 program for sure.
I'm going to work Syracuse into this whole fucking conversation.
Hey, man.
Casey's over here like, whatever, dude. That's a fucking practice squad.
He's like, I get it. Donovan McNabb, Dwight Freeney,
Right.
Jim Brown.
Yeah, okay, we get it. Yeah, Jim Brown.
You guys had a few
Larry Zonka, yeah, we got it. Okay. The last good running back you had was in 56. So.
Hey, I show respect. Beating Clemson, man, that was good stuff.
That was
good stuff.
I still think when Dabo went in there and talked, they're all like, "Oh, that was a cool move." I still think it was a dick move. I really do. I don't know why, but I gotta like, hey, congratulations for beating a number one, like that kind of fucking little.
Fuck you, man. We're a college program.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I just he went in there and congratulated him on a victory and whatever. I'm like, they played well. You guys really didn't. It's kind of like I was like, hey. Fuck you, Dabo. I just feel like there was something else behind that. I don't know. It's
on one hand, it's really magnanimous of you to do it, but on the other, man, fuck you. These are these guys put in the work, and you're coming in here like, hey, really didn't think you had it in you.
Yeah,
but
Yay, nice try, guys. I guess you got us this time, and then we.
Well, that's right. Even Dabo doesn't say fuck yeah.
Well, I know. Jesus won't let him.
Oh, my word. You guys really. Yeah. Oh, shucks.
They almost beat him this year. Was it this year? No, not this year. Last year. But even this year, I know because I was texting you. Yeah.
Syracuse had the opportunity. They had an interception. It's a one-possession game. And then DeVito, goddamn.
Yeah.
Throws one of the worst passes I've ever seen.
I didn't see the game. You were watching the game. I was at dinner or something.
I think it was your anniversary or something.
Whatever.
No. Whatever.
Yeah. My wife doesn't listen to this. She's not going to know,
so
right?
Fine.
We're fine.
And then after that, it was like Clemson remembered, like, oh, fucking Syracuse.
Yeah, exactly. Dabo was like, guys, this is Syracuse. What the fuck are you doing? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I thought we were in a practice field. My bad.
But it's one of those things, and you know this from coaching, not just even in the rivalry, but a very good team, you can't give them those opportunities. So when a team is giving Ohio State all they can handle, you can't throw that bad interception.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Ohio State is going to make you pay for it.
Yeah.
And, at any level you've coached at, high school, it's that same way. When you're at a team who is up there, if you give them the chance, they're going to take it.
Yeah, that goes with anything, right? If you're they're that good, whatever it is, football, basketball, hockey, whatever it may be, you open that door. a talented team is going to walk through it and make you fucking
You're
pay
right.
for leaving that door open.
Right. I mean, if Kimmy Granger's going to let you fuck, if you don't, a real Mandingo's going to come in and slam that poon with that fucking massive dong.
Yeah, I was telling my buddy who was listening to the podcast the other day. This is where the Fragmental piece comes in, Casey. We go way the fuck off topic. Sidetrack. He's like, who's your buddy's porn star friend fame thing? I'm like, Kimmy Granger. He's like, oh yeah, that's it.
God damn.
Yeah, I don't know.
And those
Again,
hits
here
don't lie,
my
dude.
wife
I'm
is
just
going to be
saying.
like, what do you guys talk about? Football, golf, and porn. That's all you guys talk about. And we've already worked porn into this conversation. We're talking about rivalries, and we're on fucking Kimmy Granger, fucking Mandingo.
Fucking rivalries. You don't get it, man.
Yeah.
You've got fucking
Is there a
Jenna Jameson over here.
I don't know if there's like rivalries in porn.
I'm pretty sure there's not.
Yeah,
I
probably
think they
not.
just all
Yeah, they all love each
they
other.
all fuck each other.
Yeah, love Mike. They all love each
They
other.
all love
You can't
each
see I'm
other
doing air quotes
with
here.
their
but-
mouths and vaginas,
yeah, exactly.
penises, dongs.
All right, what are we talking about again?
But so
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about Kimmy Granger fucking going to town on Mandingo right now.
no, not Mandingo.
Oh,
But anyways,
You mentioned Mandingo, I'm just saying.
Well, I'm just saying if the door's open and you don't take it, someone's
Yes.
slamming that shit shut.
agreed.
So we talked about this a little bit. I know, Dave, you didn't know about this. Casey, maybe tell us a little bit. We talked about the rivalry, the gold pants. I think that's
Yeah, you guys were
helped
talking about this
it-
earlier,
That's really
so-
helped it. It's part of just the rivalry itself. So, Casey,
Right.
if you don't mind, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, that's a unique part of the tradition there. So when you win that game, you get a pair of gold pants, and the gold pants symbolizes Francis Schmidt back in the early 30s. His whole thing was they put their pants on one leg at a time, as we do, and so that's how the whole thing got started. And so
Francis Smith was OSU.
yeah, he OSU guy
Okay.
and coach, and he was just, it's a simple concept, and that's how the whole gold pants got started. And ever since then, so anytime you beat the team up north, you get a pair of gold pants. It's a necklace, and it'll have the score of the game. It'll have your initials on it, and it'll have the year on it. And being a part of OSU, and you start talking to other alumni and other players and coaches, and you start talking about that. I mean, those are the conversations that come up 10, 20 years later down the road when you run into those guys. Hey, how many pairs of gold pants did you win?
That's pretty awesome.
And then
That's cool.
That's
I
what
didn't-
makes
yeah,
it
I like
very
that.
special.
I like the necklace with the score, and that's
Yeah.
really
And
sweet. So
yeah.
Urban has 7 of them apparently. So
Yes.
Yeah, he has to.
just to drive
and,
that.
and
drive
the
that point
rivalry
home.
also, the first pair of gold pants you win, you're supposed to give to your mother. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, so that all the players and everything, and then something unique about my gold pants. Unique story with mine is my first pair of gold pants in 2014. We had one. We had got them back, and they were made and everything. And we're all excited. Let's get our gold pants, everything like that. Well, I got mine back, and I look at the initials on it, and it had GSS, and which was very unique because the year before I had, my father had passed, and his initials are GSS. So I thought that was very unique and kind of unusual, and that was very special to me to give those to my mother at
That's
the time.
awesome.
And but then the second pair of gold pants, and we had beat them again in 2015. But I think there's just so much tradition, and it is very unique. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no other school that has anything that's like that. That's been going on for 80, 90 years. So I think that's very neat.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah,
that
I
is
mean,
cool.
that's-
I like that.
First of all, I don't know who's fucking chopping onions in here. Fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
yeah.
didn't mean to get that
It's,
deep.
it's not
but-
me. It's obviously
Little
not me.
unique story to myself.
Yeah.
But no, the gold pants is a very special thing with the rivalry. But yeah, I mean, I wear mine proudly, but
Oh, hell yeah.
at certain events that deserve it.
Well, I mean, and Dave, these aren't just like cheap.
I'm not.
No, I didn't mean it that
Trust
way.
me. I
but
mean,
like,
we just joked about OSU bringing a wad of cash out to get the upgraded windows on their bus. So I'm
so
sure
I know
they're
we
not.
talked about this before he got him, and I had thought it was just like thin,
Yeah.
just the thin gold. I mean, this is thick. Like
Yeah.
these
They
things
got some weight to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, this is not.
This is like 36 karat gold.
You're not getting this at Kohl's. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not getting this quality at Kohl's.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the real deal. Pretty fucking awesome.
That's awesome. That's a great kind of tradition. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, that's one of the things that makes this rivalry so great is you have all those moments. And those things that nobody ever be able to take away from you. So I mean, nobody able to be able to.
I mean, you have a physical reminder of that game.
Yep.
So I mean, coaching in that game, being a part of the whole process with some of the greatest teams. I mean, 2014 championship team. I mean, that was I lost to Virginia Tech. It looked like the season was over, and to be able to come back, get into the playoff, and you're playing Alabama, let's take a step back. Before you even get to that point, you won the Big Ten East. You're playing Wisconsin, who at that point, who's the right? Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon.
Who at that point was
unstoppable,
expected to win the Heisman.
Yeah. He's a Heisman. Yeah, he's number one candidate.
I mean, seriously, he did.
I don't even know who Melvin Gordon is. I don't remember that name.
He's for the Chargers now.
I'm joking.
No.
You know what I mean?
I don't remember. No,
the point. The point is like he was going to win. That was my joke, Mike.
Yeah.
Right.
He's the point. He's almost winning the Heisman. I'm like, I don't know who he is because he obviously didn't win the Heisman.
I got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on, Mike.
I mean,
we've moved the onions out of here and
a flawless execution, though. I mean, that was one of the most remarkable games I've ever seen or been a part of. I mean, that was, offense, defense, special teams. I mean, playing lights out.
You guys hit on
A+ effort. I mean, I don't think you can see a more complete game in football I've ever seen or been a part of.
And it was a formidable foe. Like, that's the thing. Like, this
Alabama?
No, this was
Big
Wisconsin.
Ten. Wisconsin.
So you're not doing this to Bowling Green.
Yeah.
You're doing this to a team that as a matter of fact, Buckeyes underdogged. Buckeyes might have been underdog that game. Like, I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen, and everybody's like, "Oh, for the Buckeyes to get something crazy's got to happen."
To get into the playoffs, right. We had to prove our statement. I mean, we had to make a statement in order to get into the playoffs, and I mean, talk about pleading your case. Jesus, I mean, we pled our case times 5.
What was the score?
59-0, 49-0.
Oh, Jesus
59.
Christ!
59-0. Yeah.
That was a 59-7.
Pretty sure they didn't get over 100 yards the entire.
That's what Melvin Gordon didn't do shit.
That's a fucking statement. A statement. You know what I mean?
It was one of those. Zeke was dominating. Cardale Jones was throwing bombs. Devin Smith. I mean, Michael Thomas. Everybody was there to play. Yeah. I mean, it was incredible. Yeah. I mean, that was a team of destiny, legitimately. For it to all fall into place like that, great coaching staff. I think that's one of the things, just from talking to Casey. I mean, Urban brings in guys who are going to buy into his culture.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, absolutely. You have to.
And
if you're then why are you there?
Right. It wasn't just you're a good coach, come here. It was you have to buy into this. And I mean, you know that better than ever. I mean, what's that like? I mean, peel back a little bit on what that's like. I mean, you reported straight to Urban, being a special teams guy. I mean, you don't have to, obviously there's tons of awesome stuff we want to know, but I mean, what's that like? I mean, just getting to know that man. I know you hold him in an extremely high regard. I mean, what are some of your thoughts on that?
No, I think the culture was very clear from the beginning. And there was, small catchphrases, 4 to 6 A to B that we would use, like, hey, 4 to 6 seconds A to B. Every play, the average play is 4 to 6 seconds, and you're going from point A to point B. I mean, using these kinds of catchphrases, and it was easy triggers to be able to, lock in and to know what we were all about. And I think the culture was very clear, very simple, but it was to the point to where anyone can comprehend and understand what we were trying to do and where this thing was going. And I think Urban did an awesome job at being able to set that culture and make us live it. And, it was no question that anyone had any trouble living it. I mean, everyone wanted to be a part of that. And it was something special to that team. I mean, to be a part of that tradition, that culture that was developed and it goes with the players. I mean, the players buy into that. And the young players that come in every year are seeing the older guys, the juniors, the seniors living out that culture, and it breeds it. I mean, you continue to live that culture.
And I would think the juniors and seniors are driving that culture with the sophomores and freshmen as it is too. So you've got Urban kind of setting it. Coaches are kind of driving it, and then the team is driving it as well too.
Right,
so
right.
I mean, it's like 4 or 5-fold for a freshman, right? Because you got the seniors and juniors, like, this is the culture here. You got coaches going, hey, this is the culture. Well, 3 times. Coach here, and then you got Urban going, this is the culture here, right? So you can't get away from it. You know what I mean? It's not, you can't slip at that point, I would think.
I mean, everything had kind of like a militaristic approach. I mean, we were 9 units. 9 units meaning that we had a defensive line unit, a linebackers unit, a DBs unit. We had, your offensive line. We had all these position groups were a unit, and they were their own small units within our large team. And so it was Urban empowering each unit to have a leader to guide that group, because everyone had their own specific room. The defensive backs reported to their, we had a safeties and corners. We split the defensive backs up, but the corners had their unit, and you have your leaders within that unit. So it's you got these small groups that comes into the larger group, and you've got a culture that's developed that per unit you've got leaders, and you've got seniors and juniors that are leading the team and developing that culture. But I mean, I could see the leadership within the team just buying in and really pushing that on to the groups that are coming in, the freshmen, the sophomores, and getting them to buy in. Because the freshmen and sophomores, these are guys, they're coming in, they might be moving in from another state, they're having a hard time with
East
that
Bejesus,
transition. They're struggling, and getting them to buy into that culture and bring them into that. The seniors did a great job. But I think it all started when Urban first came into Ohio State. He was very strong about that culture. And, thankful that senior class that really bought in and really got the thing rolling, kept it going throughout Urban's tenure at Ohio State.
So, I mean, you talk about having the 9 units. So, right, you were part of the corners and special teams, right? So who are some of the players that maybe we don't all know that really stepped it up as leaders? And maybe we do know them, but who are some of those guys that stepped up as leaders and really showed, right, themselves as a man, kind of through that process?
Yeah, in the cornerback room in 2014, I think Duran Grant did an amazing job for Eli Apple, Garyon Conley, Marshawn Lattimore. And the younger guys, Denzel Ward. I felt like he was a strong leader within that group of corners. And we call it DBU, BIA, best in America. They had a culture. The BIA was the defensive back culture at Ohio State because they wanted to be the best in America. And, all of these guys have moved on to be first round draft picks and then in the NFL and having, great careers. But it's just having that mindset developed and that confidence built that, you're going to be an exceptional player and not thinking anything less. You are going to be a best in America. If you are at Ohio State, you are the best, and there's no one better. So, and living up to that standard. Guys like Josh Perry in the linebackers room. I think you talk about an overall leader for our team. He just did an exceptional job being able to be a figure, in front of the team and be able to guide our team in all the units, not only in a linebacker unit. So, there was guys that did a tremendous job that stepped up, and I think it's a good thing. I think Urban allows opportunity to be empowered in each unit. There's an empowerment role for the seniors and juniors to be leaders, and I think that kind of leads the culture, that develops the culture. So, feeling empowered, not feeling like everything's about the head coach. The head coach is not the head honcho. He's just setting, the bar and letting, these guys grab a hold of what the culture is and then run with it. And everyone gets a piece of that and empowers them to do those things. So,
no, I think that's a measure of a good leader in all walks in life.
I was going to say that's a true leader. It doesn't matter what you're in, right? Obviously, coaching is big because it's on television, but good leaders that you're, good leaders in business and good leaders are gonna empower their people to be leaders themselves.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So that's a great life kind of lesson type thing. So yeah, absolutely. If that's that's just a good leader. You can't go wrong with that. You're not gonna struggle or you're not gonna fail at going kind of that methodology. So
absolutely. Yeah.
What do we?
So
go ahead.
shift gears a little bit.
You want to get back to Kimmy Granger, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always want to go to Kimmy Granger.
Yeah.
But what are some good stories? Don't give us players' names or don't tip your hat on who you're talking about. What are some are guys out just getting trains ran on them on the road? Like what are do you guys?
Yeah, we were talking about groupies earlier. Like what's an OSU groupie look like?
Give us a couple of nothing illegal, nothing that'll get somebody busted by the NCAA or names, but
or us arrested.
I mean, look, you had us out for the national championship game. You had us out to the the Sugar Bowl. Right, there's some pretty awesome atmospheres. New Orleans, Dallas. I mean, that hotel was sweet. There was all kind. I mean, I saw a lot of chicks that were hammered at the national championship game that I know were looking for some Buckeye dick. Any good stories you could tell? I mean, if nothing you feel like sharing, that's cool too. But.
Yeah.
Well, I will say going down to New Orleans and being part of Bourbon Street after being, we were there for a whole week getting ready to play Alabama, and I give our guys credit at Ohio State. The Alabama guys are out there in their travel suits and going into casinos doing things that they shouldn't have been doing, but our guys are at least smart enough to wear civilian clothes and not be in their travel gear like dumbasses. I'm like, these Alabama guys, what the hell are you guys doing? But yeah, after winning that game, that was, to be honest with you, beating Alabama was our national championship. I mean, going into Oregon, there was no doubt in our
I don't
mind.
think, everybody there knew. Like, this game
that
won.
was rap. I mean, you beat Alabama at that point. You're like that. You've already won, right? I mean,
Travis Henry.
Yeah.
God, why can't apparently I've had enough to drink. Nick Saban.
Yeah.
I mean, that was nobody expected you guys to go in there and win that game.
And it's another good game and a good example of there's things that happen in a game that you can't explain. Defensive end Stephen Miller. Got a pick 6 in that game. If we don't get that, we don't win that game. We had a reverse pass that was thrown to Mike Thomas. Mike Thomas in the end zone from Evan Spencer. From Evan Spencer in that game. I mean, it's like shit like that you just can't explain. I mean, it's like things like that happen. And it's just a weird feel. It's like this shit's meant to be. So. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you follow that game. We win that game. I can say Bourbon Street was lit. I mean, it was our guys had a good time celebrating that victory. And then
I remember I wanted to meet up with you, but the last thing I'd want to do was take you away from what I knew was about to happen. Yeah. So I'm like, nah. My flight leaves in 5 hours. Just go do your thing, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna catch a couple of Z's and get on. You can tell me about it later.
Yeah. I'd say a lot of us rolled out with the bead necklaces, and you knew if you gave those up, you're gonna see a pair. So, but yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It was a good time.
Well, then it's New Orleans. That fucking place never shuts down.
No.
I mean, that place is nuts.
We were there for not as exciting as that, but we were there for a wedding, and we were in the bar right next to the hotel room. The hotel we're in, not the hotel room, but the bar next to the hotel. We were talking to the bartender. They shut down for like 2 hours just to clean the place.
It's just to clean, yeah.
And you open back up. We shut down. We said we shut down at 5 and we open at 7. It's like, son of a bitch. So yeah,
and you could just drink anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere.
And everywhere you got the little street vendors serving all kinds.
Yeah, they don't sleep, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw a chick. It was like 4 a.m. and she's walking in her high heels, and she slipped because they just packed their garbage right out on the street. They leak, the shit's leaking out. It's been there probably 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever. Her heel caught the garbage juice.
Oh no!
And she had actually pretty hot. It's short skirt on, slipped and fell with that fucking garbage juice all up her arm.
Bad day.
Yeah, that was a bad day for her. And of course, we're dicks. We're standing there with like our beers, like, well, that sucked. So anyway, nothing compared to like fucking. I'm sure nothing compared to like your night at Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's my only. It's my only New Orleans
has just.
Yeah.
It's one of those, right? There's definitely a good time and a good story to be had in New Orleans.
Absolutely. It's one of those, you got to check that off. Like, you got to do the Vegas thing.
Right.
You got to do New Orleans thing. You got
to do Bourbon Street.
Absolutely got to do Bourbon Street. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a, what do I call it?
It's a bucket list.
Yeah, bucket list thing.
Definitely a bucket list item. Be a part of.
You got anything else? I mean, we're at 53 minutes now. We like to wrap this thing up right about now.
I still got questions, but we're just going to have you on again.
Absolutely. This is what Kennedy's conversation. So, thank you, man, for coming out.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Good conversation. This time flew by. I mean, I looked up and it was like, we're like at 45 minutes. I'm like, holy shit, this is good conversation.
What you got for the game?
Hey, OSU.
You got to
OSU by 21. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
21. All right. What about Penn State? Good game. That's this weekend.
Yeah. We take care of business. You know what? We've been playing lights out. Yeah, I'm gonna say OSU. I'm gonna give them. We'll say OSU by 24.
All right. 24 on
They're
Penn
gonna
State.
show up.
21 on the team up north. All right.
home game.
All right.
No, Case. Thanks for having.
Thanks for
coming
having us
on.
on your podcast.
This is your world.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
No, yeah,
us,
absolutely.
man, and
That's a good point. Thanks for bringing us into your world because this is. I mean, I've
this
never been
is-
this close to this since moving here. It's like this is all you hear about. Like when I first moved here, friends of mine, our housewarming gift was a thing of Buckeyes, like the candies.
Yeah.
I still have my Ohio State Buckeye shirt that my buddy gave me, and my wife has the Buckeye beads, the Buckeye necklace, and a Buckeye shirt. So it's a. I mean, I walked into Kroger the first time we got here, and there was a whole Ohio State section in the fucking grocery store.
There's
I'm
a
like,
good example.
I'm like, I just wanted like milk and fucking cheese.
it's
Jesus.
Kroger.
And it's Kroger, right? And I can get like an Ohio State sweater, a garbage can, beads, T-shirts, shorts. I mean, like an outfit for myself for a fire. The garbage can is the one that got me, like the big fucking 55-gallon with an O, with a giant block O on it. And
You ever look on the inside?
no,
No, it's just fucking black.
my buddy it was at work, and he went to India for work because a lot of IT structure out there. That's from what I hear. And Indians are big out there. And he's at the Taj Mahal. I have the picture. He's at a Taj Mahal with his buddy, and he's wearing the black O T-shirt at the Taj Mahal. So it's all. Oh, I know we're going long here, but whatever.
Fuck it.
I lived in
It's our podcast.
when I lived in Chicago, right? That's middle of Big Ten's headquarters there. We're talking about that. I'd go get my hair cut. I was in downtown Chicago, and there's some woman that cut my hair up in one of the suburbs. And I would Saturday mornings, I go get my haircut Saturday mornings. Like I don't know, most people do that, but I do that. So Saturday mornings I go.
I haven't had a haircut somewhere in years.
Yeah, exactly.
Just please let me know what it's like. Dave.
Exactly. This is Mike's haircut. It's over. And it's Saturday morning. People are pre-gaming, but it's because it's kind of I don't know. It's the hub of the Big Ten, but with the headquarters there, and a lot of you got Michigan.
What's in the middle of everything?
It's got a middle of everything, right? And it's Chicago, right? It's a big market. Wisconsin is an hour and a half up the road, 2 hours up the road. Beautiful. I've been up to Wisconsin. It's a beautiful campus. Michigan is 6 hours down the road. Columbus is 6 hours down the road. Iowa's not too far away. I mean, you're right, kind of in the middle. And I was getting in my car driving down one of the streets, and the 3 or 4 people that had their Ohio State stuff on, and they were going to the Ohio State bar to start the pregame.
Oh, yeah.
You saw the Michigan guys. You saw the Illinois guys. You saw the the Northwest. Everybody had like their own little, and they're all kind of it was like the Big Ten conference was like walking down the street going to the things, but. It's big money too. It's big. It's big time.
Oh yeah.
So
The Indiana bar is just like 2 stools.
it's a couple of
There's a
hillbilly.
Buckeye bar in any big city you
Yeah.
go to.
Oh, I'm
There's a
sure.
Buckeye
Yeah,
bar.
that's actually something unique that I found in our travels. That you find that
Yeah.
even in in Texas in the national championship game, there's an Ohio State bar down there. It's like wow,
Yeah, it was.
and then the fans of Ohio State travel incredible. I mean, every away game you've got a section that's lighting it up for you. And
Yeah.
at the end of the game, you go do the script. You're singing.
You
to
have
the fans.
50,000 students.
Oh yeah,
Oh, we were at
they're
the-
all over.
Yeah.
At the national championship game, the big thing, and I don't know if you know this, Dave. The stadium at Ohio Stadium, you yell OHIO, one on each side.
Okay.
Right? We were doing that at the national championship game.
Yeah.
Doing that at the Big Ten championship. Doing that at the Sugar Bowl.
Big Ten's in Indiana, right?
Yeah,
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
Lucas
yeah.
Oil. Yep.
Yep. So I mean, to be a part of that, how cool that was!
Yeah.
Like, holy, we own this fucking stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is incredible. And I know you see these guys looking up at us, and they're waving everybody on. Like, you could tell the players were feeding off of this.
Well, that's the thing too. The fan base, just pushes it along too. I mean, you guys are amped up to play. It's a big game, and even I know it's the Saturday, it's the work day, and it's just take care of business and do what you always do, which is that way you don't get these mental things that it's a big game, right?
You don't
It's
get caught up in the
you don't
hype.
get caught up in the
right.
hype,
Yeah.
but you got to feed off the energy that's coming out of the stands.
That's electrifying. Yeah.
You can't help it.
Yeah.
It was always pretty cool, because the seats he would get us were always in good spots. But
No
just,
offense, I'd hope so. I mean, it's on the fucking coaching
family
staff.
section.
But these guys coming over, I mean, after the Michigan game, and the players coming right up to where you're all sitting.
Singing Script
and
Ohio.
these guys are singing Script Ohio right there. I mean, just those are traditions that really, was the Masters tradition like no other. I mean, these are traditions that just don't exist.
So that's a pretty good Jim Nance right there. That's a pretty good Jim. Yeah, it was.
Hey, if it's one thing I've got, it's voice.
It's true.
The gift of voice.
It is.
He got everything.
They're like, God's like, I'm going to give you the voice, and what are we going to do with all the rest of this? Let's give it to Casey.
Yeah,
He's got
I'll take it.
better looking. He's like 3 inches taller, 5 inches longer, funnier, way better looking.
You've
But
covered
he doesn't have
you've
the
covered the
voice.
better looking piece already.
Doesn't have the voice though.
No, it does not have the
You
voice.
got all the credit there. No.
That's all right.
But
So.
Case, no, thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
Man.
Thanks
it's a blast
to you.
for us. I know
We'll
the
have you on
listeners-
again because apparently there's a ton of other things we got to cover too.
Yeah,
So
Well,
yeah. There's
we
a
can-
lot we haven't covered.
Well,
in
I've
this
always
session.
said we can talk football, but you're a good dude, man. You got a good personality, and as your older brother, man, I can always tell you, man, I couldn't be prouder of the man you've turned out to be, and just keep going down the right path, brother. I love you.
Yep. Appreciate it. Love you. Back
yeah,
at
now somebody's chopping
Yeah,
onions
yeah.
over here.
you. No, thanks guys for having me, and it's been a lot of fun. And
Absolutely.
look forward to next time.
Absolutely, we'll
wait.
absolutely. Now I have the third mic, so we have guests on, so we're good to go.
We're
so.
all in.
Hey, is this going to be Fragmental with Casey? And
Exactly. Look, if we come out of this with this is what's gonna happen. We have according to the website, we've got 9 followers. If by next week we've got 52, it's definitely Fragmental with
something
Casey.
going here.
Yeah, exactly.
hey, man, it's 9 regular listeners. We're in the 20s.
Yeah, I'm sure we're in the 20s. We joke about that all the time. All 2 listeners.
all both of them.
All both of them.
All both followers are
Yeah.
really going to love this.
Exactly.
But
Mike's
no.
one of them on Mondays. So anyway, all right. Well, hey man,
Yeah.
thanks Casey for coming out. Thanks Mike,
Thanks, Dave.
and we'll see you soon. Thanks guys.